Hello, everybody, and welcome to TNM Coaching Unplugged and Zoran Todorovic Interconnected Podcast, the space where you elevate your heart, you elevate your soul, you elevate your life to the next level of itself. This is the cozy space of personal development, evolution, and discovering, and also remembering how brilliant you are. And today we have a very special guest. You know, sometimes in life you meet people along the way that leave this everlasting impressions on you. You meet them, you know they're your soul tribe. You recognize them from this lifetimes, from previous lifetimes. You're aligned with the purpose and mission. And then there is this beautiful connection. And then sometimes this connection stays, you get active in each other's life, and sometimes this connection disappears, but then you reunite once again when the time is right. So today, I'm reuniting with Birgitta Granström, who is a very, very good friend of mine, you know, from previous lifetimes, from this lifetimes, and she's special and remarkable human being. Let me tell you a bit more about Birgitta and what she has done in her life, which is absolutely amazing because you want to listen to who are you listening in this podcast. She has devoted her life answering following questions. Why are people behaving as they do? And what is the meaning of your life? I mean, I think those questions are like, wow, why do people behave the way we do behave? And what is the purpose? What is the meaning of our life? She not only found the solutions to those questions, but she has also developed the LifeSpider System that enables the new paradigm for individuals. This LifeSpider System, it's an epic method for the thought leaders and professionals in the human development industry. She has built this system for past 25 years, experimenting, teaching, polishing, coaching thousands of people, then coaching clients, then training and coaching for more than 30,000 hours, and then researching in philosophy, religion, quantum physics, metaphysics, phenomena, and much more. And all of this kind of came into this wonderful and interesting system that we're going to talk about today. She is born and raised in Sweden, and now she lives in lovely California in a beautiful space with the lovely animals. She is one of these people who is all-rounded. You know, she's in personal development industry, but she's also walking her talk, and she's in connection with nature. She has published 3 books, several ebooks, online self-coaching programs, and so on and so forth. She's also, as you know, professional coach and speaker and author. And she's a wonderful human being to get to know and also to explore her amazing discovery and how he has addressed those questions that I mentioned at the beginning of this introduction. So, welcome.
I got tired when I hear you. I'm glad all this is in the history so I can move forward and actually use everything all the work I put in. So that was a nice introduction, Zoran. And I so agree with this. I felt so warm-hearted when you said sometimes you meet special people and you have a mission together, and then you go out and do your work, whatever that is. And then when the time is right, you reconnect again. And now when I'm talking, I get goosebumps because that's exactly what I felt happened when we reconnected again. So I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. I'm so happy to have you. Look as beautiful as always, as dynamic and vibrant as always in California. So let's kind of dive into this. You know, I also mentioned at the beginning that you said, you know, why are people behaving as they do and what is the meaning of life? And you kind of dive into the LifeSpider system. So tell me a little bit more, you know, how did you start developing this? What really inspired you in your own words? And what really happened as a result of this research and development?
Yeah, I can start. I mean, almost the entire time I haven't been aware of what I have been doing. So in my mind, it wasn't about to create a system. I was just, so it's so true that I asked those questions when I was very, very a little child. I wonder why is people, I mean, in the child's way, and I start to become an observer. And I experiment and realized if I say this, if I do that, I got this response. So it was a discovery through my childhood, and I start to see certain pattern and how the human behavior, why it was like that, and also this crazy. I started actually off with a question: what is the meaning of life? But when I realized, and I was looking at the star and the stars in the universe, and I realized I will never be able to find that answer. So then I repackaged it and said, okay, if I can figure it out, what is the meaning with your or my life, that would be good enough.
Yes.
So it started there, and those questions, and it took me, I was, far away, about maybe 35 or something. Then I started to realize I am creating something here.
Mm. So it become apparent. It can become apparent to you, all of these questions, that you're onto something big, you're creating something, and you're diving into certain kind of methodology or certain modality of human development, right?
Yes, and when why is it a spider? And that's actually, to make the story really short, it was one time in San Diego, and that was when I just started off my life as a digital nomad, because I got rid of everything when I was ready to put everything together in a concept, all the information, all the knowledge, and all the similarities I found, because in all my studies and what I call the research and reading and the religions and stuff, I knew there is one common information in everything. And when I realized, okay, I got it, because everything is saying the same about, but describe it in different way. And I was ready to put it down in, to really map it out and see what is this. And then I locked myself in a little apartment in San Diego when I was living as a digital nomad, and told myself, okay, I'm not leaving this couch until I have the answer on paper. And I started to, just with pen and paper and write and words. And when I woke up 24 hours later or something, the thing I have been written down looked like a spider.
Right.
So then I started to research the function of the physical spider. And that's why it became the LifeSpider System. And 5 years before that, I have been haunting about the number 8. Everything from Da Vinci showed me a prisma of 8-sided prisma, so the number 8 and the LifeSpider, So it has been, I would say, I think the most important thing is to say that the LifeSpider System is a discovery. It's not a method I have come up with. It's a discovery that I was cursed to put together in a user-friendly system. I think that's really important to point it out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now I forgot if I answered your questions.
No, you did, absolutely. You're present in the moment. That's the way how we roll here, you're present in the moment. So it's a discovery. It's something that you were prompted to do, something that your soul wanted you to do. And you also mentioned, when you were talking about why spider, that you found that there is something connecting everything together. And when you did your research and you find that thing, so what is that? What is that something that connects everything together?
Yeah, okay. So there is a few basic things. If you look at a spider has 8 legs, and 2 of those spider legs are what in the coaching, it's the fundamental of the human needs. So that's, I call them the support leg. In the spider, it's called, I think it's the being leg or support leg in the physical spider, because where you keep the balance. And if you don't keep your balance, and that's the material, the physical, all the basic needs you have in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that's in the support leg. Yes. And most of the coaching, the traditional coaching, is working on the support leg, even that including some spiritual fulfillment and self-realization as well.
Yes.
And so that's one thing. And then
just to kind of map it up for the people who are not familiar with the hierarchy of needs. So we have psychological needs, we have safety, we have belonging, we have esteem, self-actualization, and those are the foundational ones, those 8 legs, right, that you're talking about, just to reference it. Right.
Yeah.
And then?
Yeah. And they are continuously growing. So it's nothing that you can be done with, because if you are growing in all other, when I talk about the other spider legs, you still need to keep track on your basic needs. Because you still need to have that. You can, even if you want to dismiss them, you think it's boring. I thought them always was boring. It's much more fun to fly high and go for big missions. But then I have the misconception is, or you mix it together, is that there is a difference between your essence and your soul mission. And the body on the spider, that's what I call, it's the essence. So that's kind of the oxygen. It's your basic energy. So everything you are doing coming from this source of your energy. But if you don't, it's like oxygen. If you don't use it, if no one is breathing it, it's worthless. You can't see it. It's intangible. You can't smell it, but there it is there, and it's everything, the basic of life. So that's the body of the spider. And then you have 6 different directions. So when people is looking for what's my purpose in life, you can forget that, because you actually have 6 different purposes.
Wow, I love that. That's a different purposes.
Yeah, because then, I mean, how many people out there hasn't been frustrated because they think they need to pick one? What is your purpose? And they mix it. If you see, oh, my essence is this. Everything what I'm growing will become something from this energy. So you find similarities in your purposes, but your soul have, it's like, I mean, some people have this metaphor that you are up somewhere in the universe and you sign a contract and you are coming down to this earth. And on this paper, you have 6 different purposes to do, because something is have to become better. You have to develop on this planet, because we are here on a physical planet and we are here to contribute to the evolution, I think. And that's the deeper part of what's the meaning of your life. And when you are in the direction of fulfilling your purposes, one of your purposes, you know you are in the right place. And that's when you can go to bed satisfied and you can wake up curious.
Yeah, I love that. Go to bed satisfied and wake up curious. I just want to echo this because this is such a lovely statement and lovely sentence. So when you are in relationship with one of your purposes, you always have that feeling that you're satisfied and then curious, those 2. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And then I before you move on, I need to
no, of course, go ahead.
The structure of the spider, because what I found out when I studied the physical spider is that it has 3 different, what you call this, your bending stuff.
Bending thingy. Bending thingies.
And so what comes next, you have the spider body, then you have, and this is really controversial for most people, and that's where you have your ego, or we can call it the driving forces. Okay. And I think what keep the world in misery and conflicts and war right now is the misconception that there is something that you call the ego death. I don't say the outcome maybe is the same, but how we look at the ego death, because we think it's something we are supposed to suppress. And it's absolutely the opposite. Because the ego is the driving forces. That's the logical part. That's the one who, we want to be best. I want to have power. That's the one who manifests and do all these things we needs to be done on this physical planet. And as soon as you embrace your ego and expand it and invite it up to be a player together with your soul and the purpose, so they created a team, then you have peace. So the peace is in moving up the ego from the basement and check it out and let it come on here, little ego. If you love power, you are welcome. We are going to do this together, because if you like to have power, be on the stage or be beautiful, or, all this that we are trying to suppress, you have the energy and everything that you need to actually manifest your life projects, because that's the third part in the spider, is that you have life projects, and life projects is in the 500 years perspective. Means
I love it. Hold on a second. Before you go, which means, and I'll ask a question, which means what?
That means that you can relax, because I don't have to fulfill. I don't have 500 years, not what I know about now. I can never, ever accomplish or reach my goal and my life projects. But as long as I go in that direction, I set the frames. I feel like repeat myself, but it's like Da Vinci and his helicopter. He did the drawings, but it took maybe around 500 years because we even find the material to build it off. But he was the one who put it there from the beginning. And that's what everyone has. So you because with your experience, the parts you have, the specific purpose and the ego, no one else can set the ground for certain life projects. And then you leave it to the others.
Yeah. And they take over. Yeah. And they take over as well. I mean, you leave it to the others. Yes. I love this perspective, how liberating it is that you look into this from the angle of 500 years, that we don't have this limitation of time, that we must have to shoot, and we don't have that pressure. So this is the fresh thinking. This is the original thinking. And that this is the reason why you said it is, this is a discovery. Because if it's a discovery, for me, what I'm hearing from you, it's a completely new paradigm of fresh thinking around how do we relate to our life purpose. That's one. And the other one that I really want to highlight for our audience is beautiful, fresh thinking for me. I knew that, but I want to reemphasize it, is this integration of ego. Because a lot of the spiritual teaching and also personal development teaching industries, it's kind of driving us towards suppressing the ego and killing the ego and losing the ego and putting it in the little box. And what you're saying is that in order for this driving force to be manifested, in order for drive to be there, the passion, the zest for life, for people to do things in this physical form, they have to include it, right? Instead of putting it in a box.
Yeah. Exactly. And since it's also the ego is closest to the essence, so it's a catalyzer, or the one who is pumping out the energy to the spider leg. So if you cut that off, you don't get the right energies. And that's why people lose confidence, because they try and they can never reach the authenticity and all those words that's going on in the personal development world. It's impossible. And no wonder people get frustrated, disappointed, and tired. They don't believe in themselves because they are trying to accomplish something that's impossible as long as they don't have their ego in place. And I think those really educated or spiritual gurus, I think what they mean is that the ego kind of dissolve, but it's dissolved by the integration. Because when you have accepted your ego, it works with the soul. You don't really notice, because the negative behaviors is not showing up, because all negative behaviors is coming from a suppressed ego.
Yeah,
if your ego is fulfilled, there is no reason to scream and behave in a bad way, but
absolutely.
Be efficient. Yeah.
I love that. And I love also how you frame it, that, it's integration. It's dissolving with this integration instead of being suppressed. And then it's integrated, you don't even notice because you're fulfilled. And therefore, there is no need for you to display any negative behavior that will come from ego if it's suppressed. Yeah. Makes perfect sense.
I knew it. And that's it. So wonderful to talk to someone as you, Zoran, because you feel when I say it's a discovery, because you get the pieces together, because you have been around. And suddenly there is a structure for what you actually know and how to work with it. So that's some great confirmation.
So far, it's easy to understand. So far, it's easy to understand. So let's move on. So we have that, what you said at the beginning, the essence, then we go into the driving force of the ego. We talked about different level of purposes. And now where do we go from here?
So my thinking, and I wouldn't say I'm 100% received all the information about it, but this is my idea when it comes, what is consciousness? So in the model of the LifeSpider, I would say, because all these spider legs have a little tiny fur on each leg.
Yes.
And to me, that's the consciousness. So as I see it, an expand consciousness is a consequence of you growing in your LifeSpider. Because this little fur, and that's kind of the vibration, how you vibrate and how you, the spider, how it works is the kind of the sensors. So I think just in this model, how to describe or to avoid trying to think you can increase your consciousness without working with the pieces or parts in the leg is kind of a hard issue.
And those little tiny pieces, this hair in the legs of the spider, which represents our consciousness, you said we need to increase those, work with those. So what would you say it's the way to kind of initiate that work, to initiate the relationship with the consciousness in these little furry legs of the spider?
I think it already starts, and you can see it immediately. And the first step is actually to start to think, okay, I am curious to get to know my ego, because that's an easy part. You have it there and you can find it out, because every single part you are growing in your spider leg. And this is what everyone has, those pieces of the spider, everyone has it. It's kind of like your DNA. And it's just that what I am doing, or Spider Coach is doing, is we put the magnifying glass on it so you can see them. So it's nothing that you have to learn or do. It's just a digging up and, nail what is it, so you become aware of it.
Wow.
And so my LifeSpider clients, we never work with the consciousness. But I have seen it's a consequence, because suddenly they get better observers, that get stronger, they see the world differently, they smell different. So it just happened. So I think it could be the first step. It's to start to be curious, to say, okay, what if that I have tried to suppress my entire life, or people have complained about myself? If that's a part of my ego, what if that's something that I should be more of?
Yes. So for example, if you're somebody that other people say you're too much, so let's say that you have this driving force and you're too much, because you're driven and passionate, and then people keep on saying, quiet down, quiet now, shush, don't speak that much, you're too much. And then you begin feeling that this is a negative trait of yourself, and you begin suppressing because you're too much. So you're saying, what will be then the steps for me to invert this, so this too much becomes my quality that I'm using as my expressed ego to drive my life, right?
Yeah, yes, exactly. And that's to ask the question, okay, what kind of people or environment or situation want to have those who are too muches? To see where can I express. And you actually, the thing with the driving force is, the differences between a need and a driving force is that the need, it can be fulfilled. A driving force can never be fulfilled. A need, most of the time, need interaction with something outside themselves. A driving force, it's enough if you take care of the driving force. So you can actually be too much and explode in your living room or whatever you want to do. You just feel to express this too much, or if that's about speaking, talking, playing, or whatever. So just give it an expression. Yeah.
Or I can be an artist, for example, even if this too much energy, my ego has this, and I really need to be on the stage, and then the stage can accumulate, or give me the stage to express this too much in a positive way, right? Yes. So what you're saying, it's not only that I'm aware of the ego qualities like that, but I'm creating circumstances where this can be received instead of this can be taken away from me.
Yeah. And it's all another example of people who wants to have power, or like to be determined things. If they try to suppress it at work, for example, the cat and the husband or wife get it when they come home, because the tomato pieces need to be cut in a certain way. So that's just because the ego always tries to express itself. And then you express it in the wrong environment. And you see, okay, where can I be the boss? Over what can I be the boss and be that boss? And then you open up a door to an energy that you haven't met before. And that energy will guide you. And you know how that is when you open up to this. And that's what you can do. And it's such a powerful, and you experience this personal paradigm shift in you when you start.
And life changes forever. I would just like to go one step backwards to go one step forward. So you mentioned also that there are 6 different purposes, right?
Yes.
So can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because I think that nowadays, a lot of my clients, especially the younger ones, who are millennials or starseeds or Generation Y, when they read the old books about in personal development industry, as you said, there's always one, and they get really confused and frustrated. They're not able to nail it. And now this is so refreshing because you said there's 6. So can you tell me a little bit more about that discovery? How do you relate to the purpose, and why do you say it's 6? And talk more on that.
Yeah. Okay. And at first I would say this is, the LifeSpider for a millennium or January Z or whatever they are. this is how actually they are working, because this is an part of the evolution. So I would say to that, don't listen to the old personal development, because it's not made for you. And that's make them depressed. They don't know where to go. So it's just to accept, okay, I have several purposes, and it's also that if the older generation tells them that you are just jumping around, make a decision, stay focused, and that I said that's bullshit.
Correct.
Because it's maybe you have 6 different directions, and maybe 3 of them are maximum 3 of them are active simultaneously, and the others are resting. So it's just that when you can map out what kind of direction my purposes have, what 6 thing is that I am burning for, what changes is it that I want to see in the world, what are the 6 main areas, and then it's in the different directions, but that's maybe an advanced thing. But if you know that you have 6 things, and always, if you could follow the passion and take action on what feels good right now, that would be enough. And I think the millennials, the difference for me to have a LifeSpider coaching with someone who is 10, with someone who is 50, the 10 years old is this fast. They grasp it immediately. There is no about the ego. They don't have the defense mechanism system. It's easy to crack. 50 years old, 50 years old, 50 years, Swedish, 50 years, 50 years old, it can be so hard. So I would say it's find the areas that you want to, what kind of difference do you want to see in the world? Because I think for the younger generation, they do want, it's more self-evident to them to do something that improves the world, and that's okay. And I would say, be selective when you are listening to the old personal development, because it should actually switch around. The old generation coaches, even if they are the best coach training or whatever, but most of them should actually let the younger generation listen to how do they see the world. Yes. Because that's how the world actually works. And we haven't catch that. The old generation haven't caught up yet.
Right now, absolutely. And beautiful language from you there, that some of the purpose are active and some of the purpose are resting. I love that language, that we don't need to engage with everything all the time. Sometimes we feel like, oh, I gotta have to do everything. So some are resting, some are more active, and then later in life they swap and they change, or they play and interact. But the fresh new thinking here, Birgitta and everybody else who is listening to this, is that you don't need to be stuck within this paradigm, one singularity, because we live in a multidimensional universe right now. The energies have changed. The new star seeds, they know this, and they're passionate about environment of the world. And you also saying beautiful thing here: follow your passion and follow your heart. Absolutely, that's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. You also mentioned in the LifeSpider Academy, when I was reading through the content, that intention is very important when it comes to your life project. So what can you share to people around intention and the importance of intention?
I would say I think it's better actually to remove or switch the purpose with intention, because that's the intention. And that means that the intention is you have a direction. It's not the goal. It's not the decision. You know what, in a broad perspective, what is it that you want to do? So that's your intention, but you can change the intention, how you perceive it, or different projects, but the intention, the frequency is frequency, because intention is a frequency. And the frequency is something, that's why I'm saying you feel it. When you are right, it's click, it feels right. So that's why if you have an intention, don't care if what's the goal? What are you going to do? Can you be more specific? You don't have to, because if you take action on your passion, that actually you have a big intention and you create this passion, you can never go wrong. You are always moving in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And you will not even have time to do this business plan or action plans, because you take action immediately. Yeah. So, but to follow that, you really need to be connected. And it sounds easy in the theory, and it's not always. Yeah, no. Sometimes we maybe need to have a little structure and a kick in the butt with plans and goals, but just as a kickstart.
Yeah, as a kickstart. But you also, I love the definition of intentions. When you mentioned for that, you need to be connected to yourself, and that's not always easy. So how do you help people get into that connection with themselves. So what is your go-to or your method, or something that you do for yourself to maintain the connection to yourself, basically, to be able to feel that intention, to be able to read that frequency? Again, I love the language you're bringing. It's so refreshing, maintaining that frequency as an overarching holder, and just going with that frequency accomplishes much more than any goal setting anyway. So how do you maintain this connection to yourself, and how do you coach others to do this?
Yeah. So actually, the way to your intention is not in the meditation. It is to release your ego, because it's the ego that holds you back. So, I mean, if you are afraid to show your ego, you are holding back yourself, which means that you have a wall and you are not receptive to the signs. Because everyone, if you are not supposed to think you can do this, how could you? You don't have the money, you don't have the right parents, you live in the wrong part of the world. All this, and that's just from the ego's perception. So if you free your ego, you will have a highway to your intention, because then you can express what you maybe it's somewhere in the inside always have known you were meant to be. Because this is, I mean, everyone has this, and I think that's no matter what you have in the outer world, but the ego is holding you back. So I would say everything actually starts to acknowledge your ego. The soul and the spirit world, it's so easy compared to release your ego. I mean, it's easy to get the mindfulness or have the meditation, feel the peace when you have the peace with the ego. The ego is the hard part, and see what kind of values is stopping you from expressing yourself to 100%. So I think that this is the same. You think you have peace in the world by feeling love, but if you don't love yourself 100%, which you cannot do if you don't know who you are supposed to love. And as long as you suppress your ego, you don't know how to love, because it's not you. It's not your authentic you.
Yes. Beautiful. So we have 5 minutes left. We can talk forever, So based on what you shared so far, which is absolutely beautiful, invigorating, original, new, fresh, I'm really grateful for your transmission. So where would you like to leave audience, in addition to what you said right now, working with your ego and making sure that you address that, giving you the space to express? Where would you love to leave audience today? What do you feel at this moment in time? Let's kind of personalize this to today. You're recording in 2022 and 23rd of June. We have been experiencing a lot of, hardships and interesting challenges in the last 2 years. So what do you feel is the most relevant, in addition to integration to ego, for the audience to hear from you right now?
I think is that to be aware that we are changing, we are moving towards a new kind of paradigm where you are meant to be the one you are. So stop listening, or at least question all the rules, norms, morals, regulations, and see what is it that you actually want to sign up for. And especially I want to say since I have my heart really for the weird ones, which actually are those people who have this millennium energies and way of being. When you are different, be more different. Try to find space where you are allowed to express what you actually think. And don't believe that the system that we have, that is how you should be, because everyone is here to change the system that doesn't work or is not adaptable to the new consciousness, the evolution of the human being, and feel that you are of importance, no matter what you are, because you are this piece in the evolution. And if you do your best, everything will be fine. So what I'm saying, don't listen to old values. Question what's right and wrong, because they are still so strong, because there is normal people who create a normal society for normal people, and that's not how especially the younger generation. Please step up and be this strong trailblazer for the future. Did it make sense, Laura?
That made complete sense. It's a great call for action. You're in the right frequency. People are hearing you really, really, really well. Thank you so much for today. So I just want to mention, this amazing work, it's available on LifeSpiderAcademy.com. If you scroll down the LifeSpider Academy, you can then visit the social media pages on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and so on and so forth. You can get in touch with Birgitta as well there. It's a beautiful design site with the lovely resources and information. Get in touch. This is a really, really, really cool, new, and refreshing discovery within the personal development industry. So I would love as many of you to see it, to share it, and then get in touch with Birgit, with us, and then enjoy this amazing teaching. You are a proper wisdom holder.
Oh, you are wonderful. I love to be here, and welcome everyone to send me an email. I am pretty good to respond to you, and I love to have that connection, because everything starts with a little connection. So It has been absolutely wonderful, and I know I've been one of those too muchers today. So thank you.
Yeah, but we love you too much. We love you too much. And to the audience, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. We're lovely to share this energy with you. And until we talk next time, goodbye for now. And bye for everybody.
Bye-bye.